Have you ever felt overwhelmed with all that's going on in the world? Sometimes we don't realize that we can make a difference. My name is Debbie Van Grieken, and it is my hope to inspire you to take small steps towards social impact. Join us each week as we have conversations with those who have taken simple steps towards living a more sustainable and socially conscious lifestyle. If you want to make social impact, let's start small. The Small Steps podcast is proudly sponsored by Moya Shea Products. As a listener, enjoy 15% off your online purchase. Use code SMALLSTEPS15 at checkout. At Moya, we believe in people helping people. Supporting the local and global communities that help our organization succeed is very important to us. We apply a fair trade framework when purchasing raw materials, supporting farmers and families. Thinking global and acting local, Moya works with organizations to better the lives of children through education and fair trade. Are you looking for the best moisturizer for beautiful, healthy, glowing skin? Our Shea products are superb moisturizers and have exceptional healing properties for those suffering from skin issues. Check out these products and our wellness line at moyasheabutter.com. It's such an honor to be here today with award-winning social entrepreneur Jenn Harper. She is the founder and CEO of Cheekbone Beauty Cosmetics. Cheekbone Beauty is a digitally native direct-to-consumer brand that is helping Indigenous youth see themselves in a beauty brand while using the concept of a circular economy in developing their latest line of products, creating a new segment in the beauty industry, sustainable, socially conscious beauty. Jennifer Harper has been making a name for herself in the beauty industry for a number of years, but has been gaining popularity quickly after being on the hit CBC show Dragon's Den. During the development of Cheekbone Beauty, Jen researched the current makeup landscape, as well as charities that are helping close the gap that exists between Indigenous and non-Indigenous students. After in-depth research, the Cheekbone team found the First Nations Child and Family Caring Society, and the connection between their mission and Jen's family experience was serendipitous. Cheekbone Beauty continues to support FNCFCS today by donating 10% of the profits to Shannon's Dream. During Cheekbone's infancy, Jen endured a heavy personal loss with the suicide of her brother BJ. This loss, though difficult, has remained a driving force behind the desire to see Cheekbone Beauty succeed with its mission to empower Indigenous youth. In addition to Cheekbone's mission, Jen strives to educate as many people as possible about the residential school system and the effects it has had on her family and friends through decades of generational trauma. She speaks regularly to universities, colleges, and high school students about social entrepreneurship, empathy, and the history of her First Nations family. She has also been invited to speak to various entrepreneur groups, women in business associations, Apple Canada, and the First Nations organizations. In 2019, Jen was named Woman of the Year by Chatelaine magazine. Hi, Jen. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Hey, Debbie. Thanks for having me.
So we met a few years ago when I actually got to hear you speak, and it was quite amazing. I remember being a bit of a blubbering mess in the audience, but I felt a little bit better because you were too. But this is really a true start small success story. You started this business with $500 and a dream. Tell us really what got you started and share with us the journey of Cheekbone Beauty.
Yeah, I do remember that day meeting you, and if there's anyone that's willing to cry with people, it's me. I'm definitely there for a good cry. A journalist wrote about and called me an accidental entrepreneur way back when, and I think that's the perfect word to describe this journey for me, because it's certainly nothing that I had planned, but oddly enough, I had this insane dream. It was back in 2015, wake up and started writing what I now obviously know is called a business plan. But back then I didn't know what any of that was. So from that dream, there was all of these Native little girls. They're covered in lip gloss. And then when I woke up, I was like, how could I do something to support my community? And I thought about my grandmother and her experience in residential school. And at that time, I had happened to be learning more about that. So it really was in relation to what was happening in my life at the time. And then, so that night, literally jumped out of bed and was like, okay, so I'm going to try to figure out how do I make lip gloss. And then part of that dream was I wanted to start this scholarship fund in honor of my grandmother, because I had never really gotten that close to her throughout my early life. And she had died before I had a real strong relationship with her. So I was like, what could I do to honor her? And a scholarship fund was the first thing that came to mind. And then also throughout that time, I was learning that the impacts of residential school, what that meant for my family, was also true for many Indigenous, so First Nations, Métis or Inuit families in Canada. Then I learned about more sort of issues that were really impacting their lives, and to this day. So I have lots of nieces and nephews that go to school on reservations. And I learned at that time that there was this big funding gap between kids that went to school on reservation versus what was happening to my kids off reservation. It was it's just a silly battle between provincial, federal government, all kinds of like things that I know really nothing about, but I just knew it didn't seem fair that Native kids on res were getting 30 to 50% less funding per kid than my children that were going to school here in St. Catharines. And so I just really was like, how can I make this brand about let's have fun with beauty and lipstick, but there's some real serious, uncomfortable conversations that I was trying to have while doing that. And, looking back, I don't feel like, I'm not an expert in any of those areas by any means, but I felt like things that weren't fair, maybe beliefs or ideas that I had about First Nations people and Indigenous people were really changing because I was starting to understand the history and the impacts of that history.
Right.
Yeah, to this day.
Wow, it's incredible. I know you also wanted your beauty brand to be a very sustainable brand. So you are a clean beauty company. Can you tell us what clean beauty means to you? Because we know it's definitely a controversial topic out there. So what does it mean to you?
Yeah, that's a great and really hard question. So we're not fully clean yet. According to, I always define it by, because there is no body or regulatory group that defines what clean beauty means. And I'm doing air quotes and no one can see that because we're on a podcast. We look to like examples of what Sephora is looking for to be in their clean category, or companies like Credo Beauty in the United States, or there's other avenues, but nobody seems to have the right or perfect answer. So I've found that personally a challenge as a founder. But what we do know we want to make is products that contain ingredients that are safe and healthy for us and our families. And I think at the end of the day, that's what clean beauty means to me. And that's what clean beauty is meaning to Cheekbone Beauty. So some of the products that we do list would not meet the standards of the Sephora list of clean beauty yet. One, just for example, I believe our liquid lipsticks have, I can't remember which one of those ingredients, but there's an ingredient on there right now that doesn't meet the needs. Like there's an actual, and then there's a group called the EWG that gives like a number rating from like 1 to 5. And one of our ingredients on the liquid lipstick falls under like the 2 or something like that. So we don't fully meet all of those, but we're working on right literally at this moment transitioning every product we have to meet clean beauty standards that falls under the Sephora and Credo Beauty clean beauty standards.
Yeah, and that's so amazing. We're just actually thrilled that your new Sustain line is actually containing Moya Shea products. So our shea butter is one of the raw ingredients, and I know we've talked before and you say it really helps to give it that buttery slide on the lips there. And
yes,
we love it. So
that lipstick has been a bit of a challenge from the beginning. It wasn't the shea butter, but we were adding too much of mica, or it was mica or the silica, which is more of a drying ingredient. It's incredible because the tweaks are not huge that were made to make it more moisturizing, but we were battling between making it more of a matte versus more of a creamy lipstick. And then we've really just gone in the direction of we don't want it to be dry, so we're heading in the creamier direction, and definitely,
which I really loved. Yeah, I got mine. I loved it. It just was so great. You put on your IG account a quote recently, and I found it really profound. It really hit me. It said, "We can't talk about sustainability without talking to an Indigenous person." Can you describe the deep-rooted values you have around sustainability?
Yeah, so that wasn't me that made the quote, but it's one of somebody I follow on Instagram. Her name is Shayla. I was moved by that quote as well because I'm like, it feels definitely true and really touched my heart and moved me to think a lot deeper about what that really means. Ultimately, if we just look at if we're looking at, stats, like there is stats out there right now, and it says that Indigenous people make up 5% of the global population, but they're protecting 80% of the world's biodiversity. And so if any one of us were to flip on the news in any given week or day, you would, for as much as the media allows us to see it, or depends what media sources we're watching, Indigenous people are the ones protesting, picketing pipelines, standing rock in the United States, the rainforest in the Amazon, and around the world. They're the ones that are speaking up against major corporations that are gravely impacting our environment and really negatively impacting ecosystems and the biodiversity of the planet. So that's a group of people that's been doing that. And then you have to ask yourself, why are these people that are just truly unsatisfied and, troublemakers? And the more research you do, you realize it certainly is not. It is this innate connection that Indigenous people have to the land. We look to land not as a mere real estate transaction, which unfortunately in the Western world, that concept is what land means to most European settlers, and that anything is available to be bought. But if you were to have a conversation with an Indigenous person, they would be talking about things in the natural world and the land as if it was another living, and it all is, like, biologically speaking, everything in nature is living. So the Indigenous people are in a true relationship with all living things, and ultimately have the utmost, deepest respect, honor, and appreciation for everything that comes from and in nature. And it really makes sense when you then hear that statistic as to why they're the people that are doing such hard work in terms of protecting the planet.
And I know when you're making your products, you really think about how is this going to affect? Is it like seven generations? So
yeah, so that's an Indigenous teaching that when you work on something, or whether, I'm trying to relate it a lot of times to modern day life, because I picture my ancestors, my great grandmother and my great grandmother before that, thinking about when we're doing something, they were clearly taught this. And I'm, picturing them speaking in Anishinaabe about how what they're doing with something, how it truly does affect, and there's this trickle down effect. And so that was that concept of, what we do today will impact generations after us, and how will it impact our grandchildren, our great grandchildren. And so I think from my understanding, it is called like a 7-generation teaching.
Mm-hmm. And I just love how, you're really embracing that with everything that you do, everything that you put into your products. From the ingredients to the packaging, you've really worked hard on getting your packaging to be really sustainable. So it's just so wonderful to see you just living true to those values. It's amazing. But I know, Jen, you and I have discussed it before. This is a challenging business, especially trying to be sustainable, trying to do things in the right way. So if you can share with us just a little bit about those challenges, but maybe also how you've taken some small steps to solve those.
Yeah, for sure. I think the list of challenges is huge. It always,
I feel you.
Yeah. And just, I think the idea of sustainability, the reality is, it's like, let's stop buying stuff, right? Like there's so many things we do not need. Consumerism is a problem.
Yes, buy better. That's what we always say.
Yeah. And it starts with all of us as individuals in our homes to really think about living a lot more simply than we do, and not be affected by the massive amounts of marketing that are all coming our way every single day, whether it's making us feel inferior about the things we have, or the car you drive, to the shoes you're wearing, so to speak, or how you look, right? From your skin to your body shape, or all of those things were made to feel less than. And then in turn, somebody wants us to make a transaction of a purchase that's possibly going to make us feel better. We all know that that's happening, but I think the more we're aware of that, and when we think about making little changes, all I can do is be really transparent that yes, we are in fact a business. And of course we have employees to pay and things that we're trying to accomplish as a business and a brand, but we can be true to our values if we built ourselves with a set of values and principles, as well as our businesses. So just as much as we are in this space where there is transactions happening, there can be more ideas of real reciprocity when you're coming in contact with your community or customer, in just the sense that I firmly stand behind every product that we're selling to someone and want them to love it as much as we do. And the sort of idea that we want their joy to be real when they have our product and really use it and love it, and not want them to feel like that they have to keep buying more. As much as we just had that conversation about like ways to help our businesses, because every business owner is struggling. So about the different kinds of products we can make so that we can offer a different variety of items to our customers so that they can buy other things from us, but also just being true to the values that we want people to think about what they're buying and why they're buying it.
Right. And you've talked about education and sustainability as your core values. Is there other core values that you have that you bring to the business as a leader?
So, for lack of trying to sound like I think too touchy-feely, but we really believe in love at Cheekbone Beauty, and I believe in love in the sense that it's this idea of just doing things for people that maybe can never ever repay you back in any shape or form, and that love is moved by like this heart-centered idea of just really wanting to support other human beings.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's beautiful, and I think that social entrepreneurs like ourselves, we connect so much because we all have those similar values, right? And I think we see that in each other, and in some ways we're like, oh man, there's another one. Because we know how hard of a burden that can be sometimes too, right?
Yes, yeah.
So you've spoken about social entrepreneurship, empathy, educating Canadians about the residential school system. How do you envision a future that's being impacted by the mission of Cheekbone Beauty?
Yeah, like I'm really realistic that if we can just make some Indigenous kids feel really good about themselves, then we're doing a good job.
Right. And I guess those are some of the things that you can maybe, we all define success differently. So what are the things that you feel you're most successful in, or what are you most proud of that you've achieved so far?
Yeah, so another Indigenous teaching that I've come to learn is that true success within our communities is only defined by how much you give back. So it's not about what you take for yourself, but it's about what you're giving back. And I didn't know that teaching while I was building Cheekbone, but I knew from the beginning that our business was all about giving back, and the more we could give, the better. And so that it truly for me personally is how I define success, in the sense that I get to feel joy. So it's like, it's nothing to do with like money, or I think the concept of maybe what other businesses define success as, but it's just that I get to wake up every day and feel joy and happiness about the job I get to do. Obviously never perfect, but I do feel good about the work that I get to get up and do every single day. And then there is those incredible like DMs or emails that are coming from whether it's teachers, Indigenous kids, or parents or adopted parents, and letting us know how our brand has impacted their day. And that's so worth it.
So amazing. So amazing. So Jen, what's the vision for the future of Cheekbone Beauty? I mean, you've got a lot on the go right now. Why don't you share with us what's happening?
Yeah, this has been an insane year. As tragic as COVID is, it made everyone jump online, which actually helped people find us, which I don't know if without COVID, those consumers would have found us before. So we did gain some new people in our community, which have really helped and support our business, which then in turn helped us be able to grow to the next level, which is we always dreamed about making products right here in St. Catharines. And so this year we were able to now lease a space. We're building a lab, bought equipment to actually make products. So yeah, kind of crazy intense, and truly still have no idea what I'm doing, to the point we have all of this insane new equipment. And, my husband comes in and he's like, there's regular plugs are not going to work here. So we thankfully caught it in time before the electrician was leaving, that we got like some 220-volt plugs versus regular plugs in there. Those are things I didn't know, that you might need a different plug, but lots of good, fun stuff happening, and just really, really excited to have a space. I don't know if anyone else, you would never know how much you need a lab until you don't have one. and you're making products. So we're really excited just to get this lab space going and hiring our very own full-time cosmetic chemist that will help us make amazing stuff in that lab.
That's so incredible. So incredible. And such a great boost for our Niagara region too, which is great. So now how can people help you? Obviously purchasing and things, but how can we help spread Cheekbone's mission? So I know you've got some social media accounts. What's the best way to connect with you? Things like that.
Yeah, it's a power of social media is really powerful. So just following and sharing, telling our story, helping us tell our story. We're at Cheekbone Beauty on Instagram and Twitter, and just Cheekbone Beauty on Facebook and LinkedIn. Even if you don't wear makeup or anything, it's amazing what a follow and a share can do to help a small business.
It also does a lot to motivate the social entrepreneur behind it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it really helps to keep going. We talked about this off camera. You wake up one day and you feel like quitting, and the next day you're like, okay, I can do this. It's constant roller coaster every day. So definitely when we get those DMs and we get those messages, it's so nice. Those likes,
or even just the comment on your post, because like you're putting up a post, and when it's crickets, you're like, oh my goodness, like this is like everything's falling apart. Nobody even commented on this post. It's the craziest, littlest things, but they certainly, like you said, it definitely, you have no idea, I think, as just an average person, what you saying a nice comment could do for an entrepreneur. Like it could really make their day.
Jen, we're so inspired by you. We've, been following your journey. We started Moya just a little bit before you, just right around the same time. And we love that you're just accelerating, and we're watching you. And we're just praying that we're heading in the same direction as you, because you seem to be doing awesome. You're on fire. We're so proud of you. We're so inspired by you. We love that you are so accessible and that you are turning around and helping that next person. So any advice for anybody out there that's starting business, whether they want to start their own business or a social enterprise, what would you suggest to them?
Well, first off, I just want to say it's mutual admiration. We adore your brand, and I love being able to use an incredible shea butter that I know is fair trade, and I know the founder behind the product. So being able to add that into our products is amazing. So thank you for all the work that you do. But my advice, it's super simple. It's just stay consistent. And if it's your thing or that idea is yours, like it will not go away, and you'll want to keep working on it. Even on the days that you have a bad day, it'll come back to you. But every day, even on the bad days, you got to do something that pushes it forward in the right direction. So in being consistent, just keep going. Like I can't even imagine 5 years ago that this would be where we are right now, that the idea would actually have turned into a real brand or business.
That's amazing. Amazing. I know you've got a special on right now, a collaboration you've done with an artist. Why don't you share that with us? And we'll make sure we've got some links in our show notes so that people can grab that if they're interested in that. But show us.
Thank you so much for that. Because again, off the recording portion, I was saying with you how zealous I was in terms of the amount we purchased for this, and it wasn't going as well as we thought. So it's an incredible, beautiful collaboration. You're getting 3 of our Sustain lipsticks that are made with Moya shea butter in this beautiful keepsake gift box the artwork is designed by Christy Belcourt, who's an Indigenous Métis artist who's done beautiful collaborations, even with the likes of designers like Valentino. And so her work is just simply beautiful. So it made our lipstick look even better than it already is with her beautiful artwork. And so we have that right now. If you buy one, you'll get the second one at 50% off. And we're going to just have them until we can sell them out. And hopefully we do that before the end of December.
Wonderful. We'll make sure we've linked that product in the show notes for people. And Jen, again, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time. I know you're super busy. I know you've got a lot on the go. And just the fact that you'll sit down and talk with us, it's just an honor for us. And I wish you all the best. We'll be following your journey for sure. We're definitely inspired by you and look up to you. So thanks again for everything that you're doing, not just for Indigenous people, but for our whole community coming together and just lifting us all up. So thanks so much for that.
Aw, thanks for having me.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you for listening to Start Small. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found a small step you can take today. Make sure you share it with a friend. And if you have not done so yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you are enjoying this podcast, consider taking a moment and leaving us an honest review in your Apple podcasting app so more people can be inspired to take small steps towards social impact.